Here we go. All right, hopefully all this will work. Okay. The very first thing you're going to do, I brought your drawing in so I can see it and understand what it is. Okay. So I'm going to move over here. So I'm recording this for you because I don't think we're going to do all this under an hour. There's no way, especially teaching at the same time. So I thought I'd just help you out with this. All right. So this is going to be a part teaching and it's going to be a part talking out loud so you understand what I'm doing. And but you know, everybody's not going to be like this super whiz bang type person is. My program is an inventor. I'm just going to say that at the beginning of this. So AutoCAD to me is a step back. Even though I know it like the back of my hand, it doesn't matter. I haven't used it in a long, long time, since 2005. And that's why I started tutoring. I had to get back into it and remember some of this stuff. But it's changed for me. I mean, I had the very first version of 2005 back then, and now it's 2022. Well, they keep changing the bars and where everything is at. So to me, I have to find things, but will tell you the tools that I use, how to find things. And that's going to be your key to problem solving. Think of AutoCAD as a big problem solving. You're not sitting down with sketches anymore and drawing with pencils and lead weights and all that stuff like that and making sure your lines are perfect. That's the old days. This is all different. Anyway, so I'm going to draw this for you right now for your assignment because you said you need it by tonight. Hopefully you can listen to what I'm doing, replay the video back. I'm not going to necessarily be slow on this, but I'm going to explain to you what I set up. The very first thing I needed to set up is in my annotate, I needed to set up my dimensions. And so I went ahead and made a new architecture. I did a modify, and I set up my symbols and arrows. I set up my architectural ticks, and I also set up my text, and I put it on layer, make it red by block. And then so, actually we'll do it by layer. So whatever that layer is, it's going to be doing the dimensions on. I put in my primary units as architectural. I put in my precision as 0.0 1/4 inch. Since the last thing I can see you working here is a 1/2 inch. So we could change that to 1/2 inch. It wouldn't matter. It just shows up as 1/2 inch. But this, I don't think you have any 1/8 inch stuff in this. I don't see. So I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and close. And then it shows it right here. Okay. The other thing I had to do is go back into home. Once I set up all my, I had to make a body line because I didn't have one for the body. I'm going to call the outside of the unit the body. And I had to set up another one for hidden and my reference lines. And that's all set up in the layers, which is another story. I'll get into that later. Like I said, this takes time. Okay, so everything's set up now. I got my O-snap set up. I'm not using gridlock. I hate it. It's up to you if you like it or not. But I'm going to look at I'm going to break down, and I'm going to use my mouse here if you can even see it. I'm going to look at the outside of the dimensions, and I'm going to work my way out and then in. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the main outside dimensions. So I'm going to work out and in. And a good architect or drawer for furniture, whatever have you, when they do all the end top views and isometrics, are going to do the same thing. So I'm on my reference line. The very first thing I'm going to do, and I set my mouse up so that when I draw a line and then I end it with my mouse, I just hit enter, okay, like this. And then I get out of the command. Now, most people are supposed to use the escape command, but I told you in the first video that you saw how you can draw a line. Okay, that's enough of the explaining. Now I'm going to start drawing. So the very first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is make sure my ticks are right. I'm going to go ahead and hold my mouse over my endpoint. I'm going to see that it's 2 foot 8.5 inches. It looks like what I want. So to change that reference line, I'm going to hold my mouse down, hit tab, and then I'm going to go here and 3 feet, space, 10, space, not space, excuse me. You don't do the space on this one, you just hit the 10. Okay, again, I got to write it just like they have it. So tab, 3 feet, 10, and then inch. Did it do it? There it is, 3 feet, 10.5 inches. You got to use a hyphen after the 10. Okay. So that's my very first line. Okay. You see that I drew. I'm going to use my return key. So I want this line to be toward the top. So I'm going to move it. Okay. Now I want that line dashed. So I'm going to go do in here. I'm going to go ahead and right click on it. I'm going to go to my properties. And I'm going to look for my line, make sure it's dashed, and my line scale. If I set it at 3, it should dash. Okay, that's what I want. It's all set up now. I'm just telling you that. So my first reference line is 3 foot 10 inches. And just to show you what that would look like when I go to dims and I dimension this. Okay. Now you see how that's really small? I don't want that. So I have to fix that. And it's all part of it, my friend. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to go in here and modify. I'm going to go to text fit. And I'm going to make that text bigger. Hit OK, close. That's way too big. Go back. I'll just go up a little bit. Text, 1/4 inch. Let's try that. I like that. I think that's readable. I think the teacher won't mind that. Make sure my ticks are good. I need to work on my ticks. It's all part of it. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Go to my arrows. I'm going to make sure that my arrow size is going to be about 3/4. That might be too big because, you know, every every company is going to be specific to a certain thing that they want. Let's try 5/8. I'm using 1/2 inch things. I like that. That ain't too bad. So I'll drag that up. That's good. All right. So now you see that I have my 10.5, and now I need to do my other reference line. Okay. Drag it down, and that's going to be 3 feet hyphen 10 inches, or no, 6 inches. 6 inches. All right. Just to show you that that's the way it is. Now, instead of taking each reference line and making it dashed, or making the overall model dashed, because I got everything set up down here to 1 foot to 1 foot, I'm going to leave it as 1 to 1. I'm going to go ahead and just use match properties. So I click on match properties, and then it just turns the line in, and I hit escape. That's my 3'6", and to prove you that's my 3'6", I hold the line over. You see the, you can't see with your finger, but you see it, hold it like that. Never mind. It ain't going to do it. I have to do it like this up here to show you 3'6". But anyway, it is 3'6". So that's my outside of my furniture, and now my that gives me everything I pretty much need right now. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go into my body and use my line. And I'm going to use what I told you about down here. It's called reference, show reference snapping. So if I just hold that on there like that, right, and just grab it and having my ortho on, it's going to automatically take that line and make it, oh, sorry, my bad. I needed to put it on reference line, not reference body. There. Okay, so now you can see, fix that reference. Okay, so you can see that's 3 foot 10.5, like I want. Okay, that's the top of my unit. Now they're saying they want you to use O snaps and offsets. If you want, it's up to you. I really don't care. But it looks like it's a 1 inch. So if you did use the offset, you'd click on the offset. You specify the distance, 1 inch. You click the object, and then you bring it down. And that's how an offset works. I don't like using offsets. I'd rather just use the doggone square. That's what it's there for. And then I don't have to deal with drawing anything else. All right, so that's my 1 inch top. And now it looks like I have to come in. Okay, my 1 inch top. And then what they want here, what's that? I'm looking for this distance right here. So let's see here. To move it, it disappears with my mouse. Sorry about that. Okay. Doesn't really give me that distance that I'm looking for. So now what I have to do knowing that they don't give me that dimension. This dimension is not in here. I can't find it. So they took the information away, but I do have this to divide and add, which you don't have to do. I said you don't have to do all that stuff if you don't want to. So I know that this is 3'6", but they don't explain to me, oh, right up here, 1 inch. It's a 1 inch difference. I found it. 1 inch is up here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, again, go back to my reference lines. I'm going to go ahead and bring it, take my line, bring it down, use my snap, and then bring it in 1 inch. Okay. So that's my one. I don't want to touch the line I'm on. Okay. Bring my body down. And then I'm going to go ahead and use that as my reference, using my drag down. Okay. And this is where you're going to be using your snaps. Okay. And I'm going to drag that down to the bottom down here. I'm going to hold it over here, and it's automatically going to find it. Okay. Now you see that now, just to double check, and this is where you have to do this yourself. There we go, 1 inch. Okay. So now you have your 1 inch. And we're going to get rid of that because we don't want that in our drawing. All right, now, 2 ways you can do this. There's a lot of ways you can draw a line. You can draw this half and then mirror the dumb thing if you want, or you could just, that's not dumb, or you can draw it individually. For speed, what I usually like to do is I find my center point, draw a line down, enter, and then what I'll do is okay, now this one here is going to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go back to my reference line. I'm going to go up here. And actually, I'm going to go down here this time. I'm going to use my drag line, hold it on my reference, drag it down, and then I'm going to go down 1 hyphen ½ inch. Did it do it? And I just double check all my work. Okay, yeah. All right, so that's 1.5 inches. And now I know that that thing that I'm going to be drawing is going to be 1.5 inches. So I'll do the same thing again down here. And this time I'm just going to go ahead and just move it up. So I'm going to grab the line and bring it up here. Because like I said, when you turn your lines off, watch. See, reference lines disappear. That's the purpose of all this. Okay. So I'll just leave them on. They're for my use. They're not for anybody else's. Go back to my body line. Go back to my octagon thing or whatever they call that. Rectangle, drag it down, go to the endpoint, and then hit return. Okay, we just drew this piece right here and the top. Okay, and to double check, go with your dimensions, 1.5 inches. Get rid of it. Okay, so there you go. Now you know you're on the right track. So we've got that side done, and now they want you to come down another inch, which is easy to do if you want to do it with a trim snap, but I personally would do it this way. Reference line, anywhere, doesn't matter. I could put it in the middle. 1 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to take my next line, and that's going to be my body line. I'm going to reference it over. Drag it over here. Then I'm going to trim this, and the trim, hold your option down, select your objects, and then trim. Okay, that takes care of that. Again, if you go back into your deal here, see your reference lines are gone, reference lines are there. Back to the body line. So I'm going to draw one side, and then I'm going to go ahead and then mirror it. It's going to be a lot quicker, but if you want to draw it individually, it's up to you. All right, so I got that part done. I got that part done. Now I'm looking at my bottom. I need to have 3 inches for the bottom of the drawer, which is 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line down here. Okay. I'm going to click on it. Since I'm using my, I'm going to hold it on the endpoint of the rectangle. I'm going to use my tab key. There. And I'm going to go ahead and type in 1 inch. Okay, brought it down. Oh, I don't want to do it that way. That's a bad way. I forgot about that. This isn't Inventor. Don't do that. You can do stretch. Type in stretch. Or what is it called? I think you just drag it, isn't it? Yeah, you can just drag it. There. And then we're going to go ahead and do a reference line. Like I said, there's many ways to do this. So we're going to come up 3 inches. So we're going to draw a line here, over, and then we're going to come up 3 inches. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to go ahead and select this and move this down here like this. Okay. Actually, we'll do it again. Have the ortho on. Back. Again. Move it. I'm going to move it over here so I'm not right on it. And I'm just going to use the ortho. There. Okay. So that's 3 inches. Right. Yep. That's 3 inches. That's what I need there. And now I need to make this 1 inch. So I'm going to do another reference. I'm just going to go up 1 inch. And then use my line. And then I'm going to grab the center and I'm going to stretch it up. It didn't do it. So I may have to redraw it. I think I will. Okay. So now that I've got that set up for 1 inch, I'll go back to my line and do it this way instead. Get it started. Look for my green reference. Here. Okay. Now I can use it easier. Now I'm going to go to my bold. I'm going to do my match properties on this one. I want these to be there. Got it. Just so I can know what's what. There. Okay. So I'm going to take my body and I'm going to hold it in the corner here. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to click on that snap, and there we go. And then now this here is 1 inch. Okay. So there's my line and there's my dresser, and pretty much I'm almost done. So now what you can do if you want, and I think this is what they're saying, click on the O snap, specify the distance, 9 inches, and then click on the object and then snap, and then hit enter. You gotta make sure you enter key. 9 inches. Click on it again. And then they said another 9 inches. Should remember from last time. Yeah. So now they're saying they wanted 9 inches. So let's see why the drawing doesn't look like theirs. Okay, hold it on the line. 9 inches. Okay, that's good. Let's check this one. Nine inches. Okay. So this should be 3'6" for reference. And that's what they have for the outside dimensions. And then they said they wanted, okay, so I'm going to just double check their work because I don't think their drawing is right. We'll find out. So we're going to go here with a 1 inch. Okay. We're going to come back down here to another 1 inch. All right. Now we're going to come down here and click 9 inches. Oops. I just use my enter key and it just remembers it from last time. You can do it this way too, and this will go right on there. Bring it, and it'll line it right up. All right, 3 9s. And okay, we have a situation here. Now it says for the outside reference, 3 foot 6 inches. Okay. Now that's outside line, right? Let's draw that one next. Well, what do you see? It says 3 foot 3. Okay, it should be 3 foot 6. Okay, so then that means this here needs to be 3 foot 6. All right, let's double check this again. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I pulled from up here. Okay, so then this is right. All right, see, I found out my mistake. I pulled from here and it should be down here. Okay, so that is correct. So then 3 foot 6 would mean from there to there. Okay, and then we come up 3 inches from here. Double check that. That's 3 inches. And then we come up another inch. That's right. Well, now here's the problem. Okay, we need to make this 3 foot 6. And it's 3 foot 3, so we need to add 3 inches onto it. All right, so let's do that. Let's take another line here. Start right here. And we'll come down 3 foot 6. Okay. So then that means, make sure we go ahead and match properties. I guess I already remembered it. Okay. So that's our line right there. So then this here needs to be moved down to there. So let's do that right now. So we're going to grab our select. We're going to move it down, grabbing it to the base. It's going to be 3 inches up. Okay. Let's measure that. Here, there's our 3 inches that we missed. Okay, that makes sense now. Okay, so there's our 3 inches, and there's our, then this here becomes, we need to move this line down to there. And then that becomes 3 foot 6. Okay, now we've got what we're looking for. 3 foot 6, 3 inches, and then this does make sense now. And this here would be 9. Okay, so we're good to go on that. So then that would make that 9. Then that means then this thing here, I'm going to use my reference line, coming all the way over. And I'm going to grab my line and then just drag my stretch down and just bring it down. And now I'm right where I need to be. Okay. So now we have our drawer unit. Okay, if we turn off our reference lines, there we go. Looks nice. We have our center point, so we can just do a basically a and we can even turn off the dims too. See? So I'm leaving those on for reference. Okay. So now we could go ahead and do now we got everything set up. So we've got there's 2 places, and that's the 6 by 6. Actually, it's setting it up at 6 inches out, and then it looks like it's going 4.5 inches up. Okay. So now we need to make our knobs. We can make fancy ones later if you want. So let's go ahead and just do our knobs, and our knobs are going to be, what did he say our knobs are going to be? 1.5-inch diameter knobs. Okay. So we'll go ahead and grab a dimension. go ahead and grab it. It'll be diameter. And I've already got it. Good guess, huh? Okay, now we need to place our knobs in using our reference lines. And I'll change that to body eventually. So I need that knob to be 6 inches over. Six inches. Okay. And then I need it to be 4.5 inches up. 4. Okay. And so now to get that, now I have my up and down. I want to make sure that these 2 points line up. So I'm going to go ahead and take and move this over there. And I'm going to go ahead and take this one and do another move and move it up to there. Now I have my 4'6". Make sure I get my match properties. So I know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to put this back on the line for body. So there we are. And now I can take this and move it, grabbing the center point, and put it right. Okay. Move it off. There. Okay, now that I have my doorknob or my knob, let's double check it. 4.5, 6 inches. And I want 1.5 inches. Okay, that's exactly what they want. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to use this copy as a base. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to specify my base in the corner and I'm just going to go up. There we go. Now, because I want to save time and I want to help you out, I want to make sure that this is in the center. So I go here and make sure, click on my line so my endpoint's in the center. Yep. Do the same thing with the bottom line. Okay. That's my midpoint. Okay, but I know that that's over there because that's not my center. So what I'm going to do now is that this is my top, right? And I'll double check it. So I'm going to go from here to here, make sure it's 11.5. Double check. And it is. It's perfect. It's perfectly in the center. It's always good to double check your work. Okay, so I'm going to turn everything off. Show you some magic here. All right. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line down here. Oh, it's in the reference line. Sorry, my bad. I'm going to draw a line here. Okay, because I don't want all this detail here, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim it. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, let's do it this way. Trim. Use the blue box. I get rid of my line. Now I'm just going to mirror this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to select it for all, and I'm going to go up here to mirror, and it's going to say select your line, and then up and say enter. And I'm going to get rid of that line. And now we're going to go ahead and double check it and turn on our references because our dims. Okay, so this, we got to put this reference line here. Okay, we need to put this on its own layer because it gets turned off. We don't want it to be turned off. So we're going to go ahead and put it on visible. Okay, so when I turn the other lines off, it'll stay on. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all these just for kicks. I want it to look neat. So these are my dims, which means dimensions. And now I'm going to follow, take my reference lines, turn them off. Now I'm going to follow the layout of the dimensions, how they set it up, so I'm exactly right on. So I'm going to go into my dims, make sure my layer is highlighted, and I'm going to start dimensioning. And like I said, always work your way out first, and then work your way in. It looks like they went about that high here. So, there. Now, if you want to add the reference, then you can. It's just a matter of just typing in the text, but I don't think we need to at this point. And it looks like they grabbed this here. That one in there. And you don't have to necessarily do it the way they did it, but it's always a good idea to do what your company wants. Like for instance, here you see how my ticks are down there. I should put the ticks up. And then they want that number over here. So, just match what they've got. Now, it's interesting that most companies don't want you to have these lines touch. And I can show you how you can fix that if they don't, because sometimes it gets in the way of the drawing when you're doing your, and that would be under your extensions. So what you do is you go here to your dimension breaks, and let's see here. Actually, your extensions. Where's your extensions? Center line, dimension breaks, lines. Okay, extend beyond ticks. We don't want to go beyond, but we want to make sure that our ticks are offset. So let's see. You see how I just did that with a 5/8? Let's say close. And now, see, this is much cleaner, and that's how people refer it usually, okay? The ticks change. I need to fix that. I don't know why they changed. Just modify. Symbols and arrows. There we go. Change that. That's too little. Back. And let's take our ticks and let's do 3/8. I like that. Okay. So that looks like the drawing now. Okay, so we've got our ticks set up. We have our offset for our extension lines. I think it looks better that way myself. Okay, so now we need to do our 3/5. So we're going to go here, and they came off of this corner, and they gave you some room for the 9s. So now we need to do our 9s. And you can see how I'm using my reference lines. Now, I could go into my snaps down here if I wanted to, and I could turn all the other ones off except for the endpoint, which would make it cleaner and easier. So if I turned all these off, like I don't like doing that necessarily, because I like the way I have my stuff set up. And it is, I could do it this way too, and just say, go back to drafting annotation, and it should show where I could go ahead and just turn them off at that point. So let's see, clear all. I'll just do endpoint, midpoint, center, and extension. So now when I go to my snap or my things, you see how this goes to the snaps to the line. And you can do it that way too. So if I wanted to draw this to this at 9, I could. And you see how that does that? It left the line out. But I want to make it clean, so I'm going to take that line and just move it over here. There. Okay. Now that looks good. So that's 9. And like I said, if I wanted to go back, I would go back and set up my BDS tutoring and set save as current. But I'm just going to do it this way for now. So let's go ahead and do the same thing here. 9, and then if you hold it over the actual tick, it lines it up with it real nice. Here. So that's the end. That's when you end the dimension. You see, it's not finding all the other snaps. It's only looking for certain snaps. Okay. And then what I want to do now is manually, and this is what you have to do manually. Since I have my O snap on, I can just drag it over. Use my escape key. Grab the end point. This is just to make it look good. And you'll see when it prints that that's what I'm talking about. You're going to want to do this more for like when you're doing machining parts like CNC, because a lot of the machinists don't like the lines right on the drawing. A lot of companies really don't actually. So it's just a good practice to get into. Okay, so we're still working on this side. We have our 1 inch, we have our 1 inch. Now we're going to work on our on our 4.5. So we're going to grab the center, and they came down to here. And then we're going to go right to on the inside of this, like that, hit enter. And then we're going to take and put that on the outside like that, so it looks nice. And then the knob, we could leave it right there for that, because that would look okay. That would be acceptable, because you got to have it on somewhere. Even though it crosses the line, it's not the end of the world. All right, we're going to do the same thing down here. Grab the center. And it looks like they pulled from down here, so I'm going to grab that. Is that what they pulled right there? Yeah, they did. They pulled 6 inches. So my knobs are too far over. So I need to fix that. Okay. And then let's pull this one. This is going to be 6 inches from here. It pulled 6. Okay. So these knobs need to come over. So to do that, to fix this, what I'm going to do is go back to my reference, go home. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here. I'll do it here. 6.5 or 6 inches. Okay. So that's my line for 6 inches. Yeah. So yeah, that is right then. Oh, I see. I'm pulling from the wrong way. My fault. Okay, so I was right. So then I go up, and then I pull 6 from here to here, and then they bring it down right about. They want it off like that. Okay, I was right. My fault. Okay, keep the layer up. So now we're going to fix this one. Click on it and drag it to the end. So it looks pretty. Okay, now we have 6 inches. We have our 4.5. We need to do one more up here. 1.5 inches. That looks nice and neat, in line with it. It's always good to try and keep things in line. If you get now, when he says 2 places, another thing you can do is you can click on this twice. You can click on use your N key, and you can type in typical. And that means to the architect or whoever is using it, that means that's going to be on both sides. So you don't have to, they said 2 places, but we're just going to use the word typical, because that's the engineering term and the term that they use for that kind of stuff. Okay, so we have our dimensions set up on that side, 10.5. We're going to double check. Now they want some dimensions on this side. So we're going to grab it. Now this one went in the side, but we can go ahead and move that up like they did. Okay. 1 inch there. And then again, holding it on the thing. So it's the same, grabbing the center and then bringing it down. See how nice and neat that looks? Now we want to get the line off. That's always a good practice to do. Always try to pull to the end. This looks cleaner. We can leave that one. We should probably bring that over too. Now we are repeating ourselves on that 1 inch, but that's okay because that's what they did too. Actually, they didn't. Okay, good. All right, so now we're have our 3/6. We need to do one more down here. Grab this. Enter. Grab the center, pull up. And we could line it up, but I don't want to get into all that. All right, so then we're going to do another one here. We want to make sure these look good. And the reason I'm being able to pull straight like this is because I have my snaps set up that way. You see, well, I'll show you. I only have certain ones on, not like I had before. And I can just set that up by going back to my BDS current and just loading it up again, but I'm not going to do it in this case. So we're going to now pull 3, and then we're going to pull up, and we're going to say, okay. So now we have pretty much all of our drawing. Now, if we want to clean it up a little bit, like say we want to move this up and maybe not so far away, that looks nice. Maybe clean this up, you know, especially when you're doing furniture, you want to try and keep your stuff together as close as possible. But you want to keep it legible too. You don't want to make it muddy. You want to make it look nice and neat. This is your drawing. This is your work. This is what you want to reflect what you're doing. And so we got one more. I want to go to 2.5 for the knobs. 2.5. And we could leave it just like that because that pretty much is all you can do, because if you bring it down here, you won't show the knobs. So now we have double check our work. We have our typical 4.5, 9, 9, 9, 9, 3, 5, 1.5 knobs. Now we need to put our dimension in. So we're going to go ahead and go to our dimension, diameter, and now we're going to select our knob. We want this one, and we're just going to pull. And just pull it to the side. Oh, I got my ortho on, but I'll fix that. Okay. And we'll say right there. So they said they want 1.5 diameter knob. So what you could do is double click on the text, hit your N key, and then you can put on the bottom diameter knobs for the architect or for the builder. So yes, and there we go. Now in this case, because you see where we're using a dim style for the ticks, this one you're going to want to change. So to do that, you're going to right click and go to properties. And this is where I told you before to use your property box. So these are my arrows. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And I'm going to say, no, I'm going to go ahead and use my closed open. And where is that at? Right there. And there we go. See, I just changed it just like that. And now that shows me my closed. Now, if I wanted that bigger, again, I go to my property box. And I could say I want my arrow size. I want to make it say 1 inch. So you can change things in the program. I'm kind of nitpicky, so I want to make that nice and neat so it's easier to read right there. Okay. So that's basically what you have here. And that's what I'm basically teaching you. I use this as a reference. I use my reference lines. If I turn them back on, you'll see them. They're all right there. They disappear when I want them to disappear. And this should get you by on your first lesson. Once you open this up, and once I pass this on to you, you have a newer program, I won't be able to mess it again unless you put on DWG Viewer and convert it back down to a 2013 schema. So hopefully this will get your lesson started. I'll teach you today like you wanted to normally, but like I said, before we even get started on this, and you need this for an assignment, I'm doing this for you to help you out. And I think you should be pretty proud of yourself once you duplicate, watch the video, see the mistakes I made, see how I corrected myself. Even when I second guessed myself, I had to go back and fix it, but the end result is perfect. And that's the most goal thing you want. You want the end result to look like you want to look like. If you don't want the dimensions on there, because we all have them on the same layer, we can turn them off. And then now you can take and make an end top view. That's another story though. Okay, I'm probably running out of time, but this is your video. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop.